To the NYSERDA Clean Mobility Solutions Provider Showcase. This showcase will be an opportunity for you as potential applicants to the program to learn more about some of the mobility solutions providers available to support demonstration projects. We all look forward to learning more about your products and services for the people who are presenting today. I wanted to point out that there is a directory online, which I will talk about later. Several of the organizations listed will have the chance to briefly present on their organization's capabilities and answer questions. I am Wendy Lucht. I work at Energetics, and I am a support contractor to the NYSERDA CMP program. And I'd like to introduce Catherine Banner, who I work closely with. I'm going to hand this off now to Richard to introduce himself and the NYSERDA staff.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Wendy. Richard Mai, project manager on the clean transportation team here at NYSERDA. We've been working on the clean mobility program along with Energetics and the rest of the team. And I'm also joined by my colleagues, Alexia Heinrich and Rachel Fishman. And they'll give a wave on the camera. But yeah, we're very excited to be here, provide this informational resource to everyone, and work with a lot of the mobility providers that you might be able to work with as part of this program. Thanks.
Thanks. We have broken up our sessions into groups of 3 or 4 mobility solution providers. Each session will be followed by 10 minutes of questions and answers. Topics this morning include bikes and scooters, micromobility charging hubs, bike libraries, and programs to support bike and scooter ownership. Cross-cutting approaches is a category that we have today, and that checks many boxes with the solutions they offer, and sometimes they support both 2-wheel and 4-wheel solutions. So if you are interested in learning more about 4-wheel solutions, please attend the afternoon session. We will be hearing more about topics like shuttle services, EV rideshare, and on-demand car services. I should have mentioned earlier today that this is all being recorded and closed captioned, so everything we say today will be recorded. I have some housekeeping matters about how questions and answers are going to work. Everyone is muted upon entry, as you have probably noted. And when we get started, we're going to start with Lyft. As a reminder to the other speakers, I will not be introducing every speaker. Please be ready to go as the presenter ahead of you is wrapping up. So with questions and answers, this is directed at you, the audience and attendees. We will be taking written questions first. So we will be answering written questions first from the chat. I will start by reading the written questions that come in through the chat. I will read them aloud. For chat questions, please precede your question with the presenter or group of presenters that the question is directed towards. If there's time permitting, we will have verbal questions and we will answer them second. I will call on those with raised hands. The individual asking the question will be unmuted by the NYSERDA events team for 20 seconds. So you need to be succinct and concise. All questions, again, both written and verbal, should be directed at a specific presenter or company or clearly aimed at multiple presenters. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the NYSERDA Clean Mobility Program. Eligible projects are efforts that will demonstrate zero-emission transportation options. Eligible projects include hardware, software, and operations. They can also include market development initiatives. They may include one or more commercially available products in the integration of multiple commercially viable products. NYSERDA funds may be used for the purchase of zero-emission vehicles or installation of EV charging infrastructure. NYSERDA funds may also be used for the purchase of mobility devices and mobility charging infrastructure. I really want to note this. Electric bikes or scooters funded by NYSERDA need to meet industry safety standards, such as being UL certified. Demonstration track round 2 defines mobility solution providers beyond just operators. The definition also includes OEMs, distributors, and other types of vendors. Mobility solution providers are entities that manufacture, supply, develop, install, operate, and maintain EVs and micromobility devices such as bikes, e-bikes, and scooters, charging equipment for EVs and micromobility devices, and programs to support CMP eligible technologies like bikes, scooters, EV bikes, EV rideshare and on-demand services, charging hubs for mobility and EVs. More mobility solutions can be found at the Mobility Solutions Provider Directory on the NYSERDA CMP website. The directory is non-exhaustive. Most organizations listed have operated in or currently operate in New York State or have been identified through known similar directories that have been compiled by other states. Proposers are welcome to choose any eligible mobility provider. I need to put out this disclaimer now. This covers the entire presentation and showcase today. This is all for informational purposes only and does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by NYSERDA. So I am going to skip this slide and go straight on and introduce Lyft for their presentation. So take it away, Lyft.
Thank you, Wendy. I really appreciate it. Oh, it looks like I might have frozen. There we are. My name is Miller Nuttall. I run policy for Lyft Urban Solutions. Thanks everyone for joining today. I'm going to talk a little bit about our city bike program. I think that's most relevant for a lot of the good work NYSERDA and you all are doing in New York. But we operate and supply equipment to over 60 systems all across the world. So happy to talk bigger picture sometime if folks want to follow up. If you go to the next slide, please. I think most folks are familiar with City Bike. Lyft is the operator of the program, has been for about 6 years. We put a ton of resources into the program in partnership with our partners at New York City DOT and the mayor's office to expand the program over double the service area. It's now the largest docked bike share program outside of China. And just in the last 12 months has seen about 50 million rides. So it's truly a sort of foundational publicly available transportation option now, which is really exciting. E-bikes are driving a lot of that growth. As you can imagine, they're hugely popular. With that popularity comes the challenge of keeping them charged, which everyone here is very familiar with, for better or worse, I'm sure. We currently are running a largely battery swapping operation out of 2 warehouses in the outer boroughs. You can imagine what it's like to drive vans full of batteries through congested streets in Manhattan. And so we're putting a lot of attention and focus and energy into electrifying our station so that the bikes can charge in the field. We've got 2 of those stations deployed and fully electrified right now, with plans to scale up to several dozen more over the coming year. And essentially, if we can electrify, a portion of those stations, we can basically eliminate the need to do battery swapping in the field, which will reduce VMT from our vans tremendously and just make for a much more dependable, reliable e-bike fleet, which is critical to driving ridership. You can go to the next slide, please. So I think in terms of how we can be a partner to you all, there is the opportunity to expand City Bike. We're always looking to grow our programs. We're big fans of regional programs, DC, the Bay Area, Boston area. In New York City, we're also in Jersey City and Hoboken. So very interested to look at largely contiguous municipalities around the current service area that might be interested in the service. So keep that in mind. And then, as I mentioned, we've already forged a path on the permitting path with DOT and others to do station electrification. And one particular note here is that every station we're electrifying it's basically future proof. So it has a stub out from the property line box that is meant to co-locate something else there. So the little image on the left is an example of a deliveries to Focus battery swapping cabinet, for instance, that could plug into that infrastructure. And DOT is being very thoughtful about doing this universally so that they're taking sort of a dig once approach. And it's just something to keep in mind going forward. But we have a lot of expertise in the realm of electrification as well that you can tap into. Next slide, please. So again, as I mentioned, we're doing electrification at scale in New York City. We've also done this work in Chicago. We've got a couple of dozen stations electrified there with plans to get up over 100. Pittsburgh's bike share system is called Pogo. They run on our equipment and have managed to do a really cost-effective way of tapping into power at light poles next to their stations. As folks know, trenching is extremely expensive in this country for some reason. We're still trying to figure out exactly why. It's like 50 times more than it costs in Europe. But there are these innovative ways to tap into power that's a little bit more accessible, that doesn't require as much digging. And so that's a really interesting, innovative frontier that we're exploring as well. But in New York City so far, we've really just taken the approach to trench under the station to get power there. So happy to take questions, serve as a resource. Please feel free to seek us out. Thank you so much.
Okay, next provider on deck.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amber Wasson. I lead growth for Drop Mobility and really excited to be here. So thanks for having us. Just wanted to give an overview of Drop Mobility for those of you who have not heard of us or don't know of us. All of our we are expansive. We operate across North America and we're in 60 plus municipalities. All of our systems though are locally branded. So you may have ridden a drop bike without knowing it. You'll never see an actual drop bike in the wild. And we have systems from the East Coast to the West Coast and many in New York. We are a full service micromobility provider. So we do everything from hardware to software to operations. We do custom programs. I'll talk a little bit more about our e-bike lending libraries. We do pathway to ownership. We have some leasing programs for e-bikes, and of course, traditional bike share. We're also getting into electric docking stations and have many projects coming online this year with electric docking stations. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we run all different kinds of programs. Our philosophy is just to get butts on bikes however possible, and in many of the communities we work in. Some are more rural, some are smaller cities. Traditional bike share might not service everyone, and so we have developed many different programs around e-bike lending libraries and scooter share, as well as bike share. I mentioned our charging hubs, and then we have many programs that support ownership. So we've really witnessed bike share members start to be interested in riding more often, and then sometimes that leads to actual e-bike ownership. And next slide, please. I'll just touch on some of our New York-based programs. So first we have Project Mover in the Hudson Valley area. This is a really exciting project with many partners involved. We launched a pilot last year in Austining, New York with 50 e-bikes, and that was really successful, and we've expanded now regionally to, I think, 8 different cities up and down the Hudson, and we are expanding. So for folks on this call who might be near Austining or Sleepy Hollow in the Hudson Valley area, that is a system that we're looking to expand regionally. So please reach out and let me know if you're interested. Moving over to the capital region of Albany, we run the CDPHP cycle program there with drop e-bikes, and there's a scooter program as well. And then next slide. And then finally in Ithaca, we have a really vibrant program called Ithaca Bike Share. It is also supported by NYSERDA funding for some of the expansion. We have a really awesome equity program there that many people take part in. And it is a very vibrant program that's very successful. So we've had a lot of fun in Ithaca. And I think I will end there. If anyone has any questions, I'll be on for the Q&A.
Clip, you're
Hi,
on.
everyone. Hi, I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for joining this webinar. My name is Sora, and I'm the head of partnerships here at CLIP. CLIP was founded in 2018 at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and we're headquartered in New Lab, which is a climate tech incubator and co-working space. Our mission is to make e-biking as accessible as possible by utilizing existing bikes. So that's why we created CLIP, the world's first no-tools device that upgrades a regular bike into an e-bike. And I actually have a clip with me right now, and I'll be giving you a demo to show you how easy it is to use it on any standard bike. So I'm just gonna move you over. Here is my bike. So first step is to take this Bluetooth remote and attach it to your handlebar, like that. And then you're going to center your clip over your wheel, lock it into place, and then you're going to press the boost button to accelerate. Now you have an e-bike. So it's super neat, portable, designed to be taken off in seconds, and super compact device. So that's Clip. Next slide, please. So for the NYSERDA Clean Mobility Program, we're offering 2 solutions. The first is an e-bike library that can safely store and charge your clips. So the image on the right of this slide is an example of what it can look like, which is a photo taken of our clip library currently in New Lab. And the second solution we're offering are affordable pathways to e-bike ownership. So for example, Clip is under $500 and Bolt, our newest product, is under $200. So we created Bolt to further advance our mission to bring e-bikes to where it's most needed. And so together with a local bike partner, we can offer a complete e-bike for as low as $500. Next slide, please. So Clip currently has over 2,500 customers. They're mainly urban commuters and active elders, helping them access work, education, and social opportunities. We completed our first library pilot last year here at New Lab, where participants got to ride Clip for their commutes to and from the office. So we essentially launched this program to encourage more members to bike to New Lab, and on average, participants biked for 6 miles. And our team assisted with onboarding, training, servicing, collecting data, and maintenance support for this pilot. And the success of this pilot allowed us to launch similar pilots at the Brooklyn Army Terminal and Governor's Island, which are scheduled to begin next month. Next slide, please. So Clip not only supports underserved communities to access e-biking, it also significantly limits manufacturing and deployment footprint, addressing major environmental injustices. It's 30 times less resource intensive than an electric car, and it also cuts manufacturing emissions and waste by 40 times by using the bikes that already exist in the world. Please visit our website, which is clip.bike, for more information on our products, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any further questions about our services. Thanks for listening.
Okay, I would like to invite all the speakers from the first group to unmute and open your cameras. I would also like to invite anybody from the audience to submit questions via chat. I think we might have some shy people here. John, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
We do have a couple of people that have raised their hands. However, we do not have any questions in the chat.
Okay, then I think what we're going to do is we're going to have live Q&A. As a reminder, you're going to be unmuted for 25 seconds.
We're going to start with Lauren. Lauren, you are unmuted. Lauren Kesner O'Brien from ECC. Lauren, can you hear us?
Lauren, maybe you should type your question in the chat.
I would do, but the chat is not.
Okay, I think we should go to the second question and go back to Lauren when her technical difficulties are over. So John, can you unmute the second question?
Yes, Lisa Mitten.
Hi, good morning. I just want to note that the direct chat with individual and everyone is off, so that's not working for me. My question is the best rental borrowing unlock minute, the best rates long term for the user. Is that with the structure with the power is right from the beginning at the location of the e-bike corral? Or is the switching out batteries manually and charging at the warehouse? Like which structure of a bike share program yields the best rates and affordability for users?
I'm happy to jump in. I mean, I think speaking from a city bike perspective, we're still pretty early in our electrification journey. So I think there's a lot, we have very robust modeling to suggest the sort of cost savings we'll see over time. But we're going to have to get to a point where we have a true charging network to see how those actually bear out and if our projections are actually on track before we can think about like what sort of cost savings may or may not be able to be passed on to customers. But generally, charging on the street is far cheaper and more efficient than charging in a warehouse and driving batteries around.
Yeah, we're still, our docking stations, our electric docking stations are pretty new, so we're still collecting data. But our assumption is that there will be operational efficiencies with just 20% or more of the stations replaced with electric docking stations. However, for user pricing for drop, all of that's dictated by our partners. We work in a partnership approach with cities. And so cities can elect to subsidize pricing or design their own user pricing and then further subsidize operations so that the user is not paying for those costs.
Okay,
For Clip,
go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to note like the costs are on our slides, and we can work with each organization to create like a lease to own plan as well.
Excellent. I have Lauren's question now, so I'm going to ask it on her behalf. Can you share more information about how your bike libraries are financed? This question is for Amber. How are your bike libraries financed? Are they supported by the cities where they work, or some combination of public and private funding?
All of the above. Drop's model again is to work in a partnership approach with cities. So we're not, launching our own e-bike lending libraries. We're working with municipalities or nonprofits or transit agencies to launch these programs. And so each one is funded a bit differently. Our project in the Project Mover in Austining there is some NYSERDA funding behind that e-bike lending library. In California, we have a few CMO funded projects, and then sometimes they're funded directly by the municipalities.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Judith Maisie for CLIP. Where could I see a CLIP library? Also, what would the cost be for a CLIP library?
Yeah, so we can actually invite you to our office in New Lab where you can see our library in person. And the cost would vary depending on whether you'd like it to be weatherproofed So that's something that we can discuss too after this webinar.
Great. Lisa Mitten. Are Clip e-bike charging libraries proprietary for Clip models only, or any e-bike battery to be charged?
It would be for either Clip or Bolt. And for Bolt, it uses the same batteries as Clip, but they're actually swappable. So you'd be charging the battery instead of the Clip unit.
Okay, and we have a question, again, another question for Clip from Laura. How do Clip attachments compare to level 1 e-assist bikes in terms of uphill power?
Yeah, so Clip is designed to reduce your pedaling effort. So it is a pedal assist device, but it'll be reducing your effort by half. So it lessens effort and therefore acts like a e-bike. And the speed limit is the same as a city bike, for example. So it's 15 miles per hour maximum speed.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Is there anyone in the audience, or does anybody want to type a question? Okay, Lisa Mitten. Is this directed, Lisa, I just want you to clarify who this is directed towards. Okay, for Drop or anyone. Could you share more about your equity programs?
Yeah, I would love to. Almost all, I would say actually 100% of our programs have equity programs. Again, we work in a partnership approach, so those programs are designed by our municipal, nonprofit, or transit partner. In the Project Mover example, for the pilot, we did all equity pricing, where it was really inexpensive to ride. It was 10 cents a minute. We are trying to make this a sustainable program, so we have raised prices for normal users, and our equity program is anyone who qualifies for SNAP benefit in New York can just email us and they can get a pass for, I believe it's $5 a month, which includes 60 minutes of ride time a day. So most of our programs look slightly like, some form of that. But again, it's really up to the city or the partner to design that program.
At City Bike, across all of our programs as well, we have equity programs. It is the typical model is $5 a month, gets you all the benefits of a full annual membership, including deeply discounted e-bike minutes. We currently have, I think, just south of 20,000 New Yorkers who are enrolled in that program. Folks have to be eligible for SNAP or live in night shift facilities or other government subsidy programs, but then can sign up very easily and participate in the program.
Okay. Sora, do you have anything to add?
No, but if anyone wants to reach out and schedule, an in-person demo, I'd be happy to.
Okay, great. That. So with that, I think we are going to segue to session B. Thank you all. Can you mute and turn off your cameras? And I believe Pop Wheels is on deck. So take it away.
Hi there, folks. I'm David Hammer. I'm the co-founder of Pop Wheels. You can go to the next slide. All right, so Pop Wheels is a Brooklyn-based startup. We've been around for a few years. We actually work just in the same building as the Clip folks, so they're good friends of ours. And we're born out of a desire to stop the battery fire crisis that was plaguing New York City. And so we build our fire-safe, affordable, accessible charging for electric mobility, right? We've realized there's a real need for cities, communities, and building owners of all sizes to deploy certified safe battery infrastructure. So we've had an aggressive focus in general on fire safety. In particular, one of the pieces of proprietary technology that we've built is a battery charging cabinet that can actually extinguish a battery fire. It can work with batteries of any type. whether those are NMC or LFP. And we have been tested and approved by FDNY standards, and there is a new set of UL standards that have just been published, and we expect to be among the first, if not the first, to be certified to those standards. In terms of services we offer, PON Wheels offers 2 core services, which we can deploy in conjunction or separately. So the first is battery swapping hubs. And so those are basically hubs where e-bike mobility riders can pick up a battery, ride it around, drop it off, pick up a new one, and keep going. We can custom produce our cabinets and battery types to match nearly any battery type, so we can support. Our first deployments in New York have supported the delivery worker e-bikes in New York City, but we're certainly capable of working with other types as well. We can do this for municipalities, for neighborhoods or communities, or for private fleets. And our infrastructure is pretty cost efficient to deploy. The second product we offer is battery charging, which serves more as a building amenity, allowing any resident to be able to bring their own charger to a cabinet and charge their own battery. So we view these really working in conjunction. Battery swapping makes a lot of sense for heavy duty usage. Battery charging is more for kind of light electric mobility usage, and we will very often look to solutions where we deploy them both in conjunction. You can go to the next slide. For example, we launched the first ever battery swapping hub in New York City, which is being used by, at this point, hundreds of delivery workers on a daily basis. One of the things I'm particularly proud of is that when we deploy swapping hubs, we have a very strong emphasis on hands-on support with users. We do provide multilingual support and can support and work very hands-on to make sure users are educated on kind of how to use a battery swapping system effectively. We've seen we do focus on operational maintenance and provide full end-to-end maintenance for any swapping system we deploy. It's not on the slide here, but we also recently launched a DC in partnership with DC DOT, a battery swapping system there. What's interesting about that one is that we worked with DC DOT and Whiz, which is an e-bike rental company, to custom deploy the cabinets to work for the Whiz e-bikes. So again, we can work as a standalone deployment to serve existing e-mobility, or we can partner with other fleets and a municipality or a community to be able to do that. The other thing I'll emphasize is that in DC, we were able to go from initial concept to fully deployed in about 8 to 10 weeks. So we are a pretty efficient and fast-moving organization, and we're able to start putting up real results quickly. Now you can go to the next page. And again, we've been able to really achieve some pretty amazing results. A pilot we did with the DOT last year, we showed an 88% reduction in at-home charging. So I think we're making good progress on that front. In fact, a lot of what we're doing now is working with housing providers to create what we call swap and charge hubs, where that are focused on specifically trying to get residents to move their charging activities from inside their buildings to outside their buildings, but we do support a wider range than that. I think that's all I've got. So happy to end right there.
Okay, next presenter, please. Next slide.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Excited to be here. I'm Holland. I lead Swabi's work in the US and all of our sort of expansion work across the country. We build more or less battery charging and swapping solutions. So just like Pop Wheels, or in very similar ways to Pop Wheels, we are deploying these very smart systems. So our cabinets are really special, I would say, in 2 ways. So the first is that they're modular. The modularity really allows them to work with multiple battery types, not just to plug it in and charge it, but really to intelligently understand the battery itself at that moment. We can track the temperature. We can see how fast it's charging. We can prevent a battery fire before it happens. We can shut off the station from abroad if we need to. So that really allows us to prevent fires. The next is that they're modular in that we can also swap them in the field. So if one slot is broken, we can take the full module out, replace it with a new one there in the field without any downtime, update it in the warehouse, and then redeploy it in a different station somewhere else in the city. Next slide, please. This technology can really be used in a few different ways. So we talk about micromobility charging hubs, so things like, micromobility swapping, so e-bike swapping, things like that for delivery workers. But we also can use it for things like promoting scooter ownership and bike ownership. We've seen that sometimes the e-bikes, the battery is like 40% of the cost of the e-bike, which is a really big barrier for people having electric micromobility and really being encouraged to use it on a daily basis. So our subscription service for the battery allows people to access safe UL certified batteries without owning them, without the risk of theft, and also without basically paying $500 or more upfront for that bike battery. So we increase adoption that way. And then finally, the hardware can also be used for bike share and scooter bike libraries. So we've done this a few different times, but the hardware is, again, modular. So different batteries can be charged in it. You can think of it as almost like a remote warehouse. So we can imagine, as we've heard from Drop and Lyft, it's super difficult to charge and bring always back to a warehouse. So one of the things that we do is deploy these around a city so that operators can easily swap where the swaps need to happen. So that's something that we're doing there as well. Next slide, please. Here's just a few examples. So first is the Charge Safe, Ride Safe pilot. This was an initiative by the city. We did this along with Pop Wheels as well. We provided battery swapping for about 40 delivery workers for 11 months. We saw tens of thousands of swaps over the course of the pilot, an 88% reduction in at-home charging as well, and really a network that allowed people a much needed alternative to charging at home. Since the pilot, we've expanded in New York, but also launched a safe swapping network in Jersey City. So these are connected. So you can swap in Jersey City, then you can go into New York. You can sort of use the whole extended network there. We've already had more than 6,000 swaps in just 5 months with 2 stations there. Swap to the next slide, please. I wanted to share a couple of other examples just to show the kind of the diversity of what we do. So we can work with mopeds. We do this in Germany. We have e-mopeds that we can rent out to users and they can swap around the network. They can rent the battery and the moped from us together. We are also charging for e-bike lending library in Buffalo. So this is also a NYSERDA project and a shared mobility project. They're sort of piloting this idea of having not the end user swap, but rather an operator swap. And then finally, we also, one of the big things that we do in Europe is run the charging operations, a lot of the swapping operations for Voi. So again, warehouses are expensive, usually located far outside the city. And something I think is pretty cool about this project is it's actually allowed Voi to replace a lot of vans with e-bikes. So they can drive up to the Swabi station and swap all the batteries they need to swap, and then also swap the cargo bike battery itself there. So they can do all their charging operations that way. That is the end of my presentation. Really excited to hear all your questions. I'm looking forward to getting e-bike battery charging out of houses.
Okay, next.
Hello, this is Jeff Olson. Get the next slide up. Thanks to everybody for being here today. I was one of the co-founders of the company that launched City Bike. So some of you may have seen our work before. My business partner in Recharge is Julien Bouget, global leader initially in the wind energy industry. So we both have a long background in sustainability, in green mobility, and in just making cities better places to live. We have developed a universal wireless charging solution for e-bikes, scooters, and other devices. It is the first of its kind and is made in New York. We are a New York-based team here in the capital region. We think this is a really exciting innovation that can help significantly save money, as several of the other operators have mentioned today. The cost of swapping batteries is significant. We are creating stations that can charge bikes, scooters of any brand, any company, wirelessly, safely, and efficiently. Next slide, please. The services that we operate, as I mentioned, are unique. The photo you see here is an example from a pilot project at the Buffalo Medical Campus. Are grid connection, but from there on in, nobody touches the batteries. Nobody has to make contact with physical connections to the bikes in any way. The system operates using a wireless technology that in many ways is similar to putting your iPhone or your watch on a dock, just slightly more power, but it uses significantly less power than charging, say, an electric car. That amount of power that we need is readily available, and I know others have mentioned tying into streetlights and other sources. We can literally charge 100 bikes or scooters with the same energy that it takes to charge a single electric car. The advantage of the system, it reduces urban clutter with bikes and scooters that aren't charged. It's certainly greener, requires less driving of cars and trucks around in cities. It's much more affordable and reduces the cost for end users. It's accessible, which means more people will be able to ride more often, and certainly safer. We reduce the concerns about battery fires happening. Next slide, please. When we look at how effectively we can launch the system, and I'll show an example on the next slide, please. I'm not seeing the slide. It's got the slide advance. This is a project we just did last summer here in the Capital Region of New York State. You can see the partners there, the CDPHP cycle system run by our regional transit agency. Those bikes were generally not being used along the Empire State Trail. Because the distance to get to them and charge the batteries was a complication for the operator, they were in complete use for the entire season and actually well into the late fall and early winter, and were used extensively every day. We did not have to repair the system once. We didn't have to go out there make any changes. Occasionally there was a bike basket that might have gotten misaligned. Our system works by that's mounted in the basket of the bike or scooter or other devices that then sits on top of a charging dock. Basically the same geometry if you looked at a docked bike share system in Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York City, all systems that my former company originally launched. So what we're hoping to accomplish today is to find some new partnerships. We think this is win-win-win. We think there's a real opportunity here for agencies, communities, campuses, system providers to collaborate with us to change the way that operations are done for charging electric micromobility. And I hope we can work together to get more people riding more bikes and scooters more often. Thanks for your time, and the email address is on the previous screen. Please feel free to reach out directly to me, and let's hope we can find some ways to work together. And again, this is made in New York, made in the USA. We're really proud of that fact and want to make this a New York State success. Thank you.
All right, next slide, next on deck. Oh, here we are. We're at question and answer. Okay, everybody from that panel, can you unmute and put your cameras on? And I'm going to go back to the questions that came in first. This question is open to all. How much are you charging customers per charge?
I'll go first, I guess. So first thing I'll say is that usually when we're doing a deployment, there's a fair amount of control that the kind of municipality or partner that we're deploying with has over that. In New York City, it's a membership model where delivery workers pay $75 a month for unlimited use. So it's not a pay-per-charge model. But we've seen we're exploring other approaches as well that are usually around roughly the $2 to $3 per charge range, but there is some flexibility to change that depending on how it's being deployed.
We also have a subscription-based model. We have two versions. So the first is $2 a day or $60 a month. They can pay it weekly, they can pay it monthly, or a $75 a month option, which has some theft protection and things like that covered in that as well.
And I'll just say quickly, for us, the cost is savings to the operators of the systems, which then can be passed on to the people who are riding, or can be offset by expanding the system geographically, making the service area larger. So that's a process that can be customized for each municipality or each region. But there are significant cost savings. You heard one of the operators earlier say in the vicinity of 20% savings, and we think those savings could be even larger.
Okay. We have a question for recharge from Monica Marie Robertson at RPI. Does Recharge have a battery charging swap option?
Thanks for the question. As an RPI alum, great to hear we're out here. We do not swap batteries directly. It is possible that wireless technology could be integrated into cabinet-based solutions, but that's not our primary model at this point. We make stations that can be used for people coming to those stations. As long as there is a receiver mounted under that basket on any bike or scooter, then that charge can happen at the station.
Excellent. We have Lisa Mitten from SUNY New Paltz. Do any of these vendors have higher education case studies of battery charging banks or safe swapping networks for privately owned e-mobility devices as a building amenity?
I don't
Does
have a
anybody
case study
have-
yet, but I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
I don't have a case study yet, but we do have a couple of buildings that we are currently working with on this kind of process, and happy to walk you through some of our experiences with them offline.
We also don't have one yet, at least not in the US. We have some case studies that we've done on fleet charging in Germany, and also a DOT case study that was done after the pilot project.
Yeah, very similar for us, but we think that's a great use case, and we're interested in talking more about it.
Excellent. John Miller has a question for Recharge E. Is the wireless charging envisioned only for shared fleets, or is there a way they could be configured to work for a variety of individually owned e-bikes?
Absolutely. And obviously this is the beginnings of what we hope is a growing company over time. And our focus on the large fleets is because it allows us to retrofit our receiver onto a typical or standardized bike, many hundreds of times. But when you look at the amount of devices that are moving around that all could be charged at a common dock, I'm ready to put one here at my house. I could charge my lawnmower, my Roomba, my iPhone, a whole bunch of other things could be charged at a common location. We are not currently pursuing that sort of consumer product idea, but it is something we think about a lot because I think more and more people are realizing that we're using more electric devices. It would be a lot easier if they would charge as easy as this phone does. So that's what we're trying to do.
Great. I don't see any more questions in the chat. If anybody has a verbal question, they can raise their hand and John can unmute you for 25 seconds. Okay, last chance to either raise your hand or chat a question. Okay, I think this is unbelievable, but we are running ahead of schedule. But I would encourage anybody in the audience to reach out to these companies. And I think we are going to be ready for session C. So with that, I'd like Shared Mobility to take it away. And everybody, thank you again. Turn off your cameras. Shared Mobility. Yep. Excellent.
Thanks, Wendy. And thanks for having us. So my name is Tyler Maydell. I'm Program Director with Shared Mobility. If you don't mind going to the next slide. So Shared Mobility, we're a Buffalo-based nonprofit organization that works across New York State and nationwide, really working on a lot of the types of programs, we just saw vendors from. We work with local partners to build financially sustainable, innovative transportation programs that serve smaller and mid-sized cities, particularly in underserved areas. We have 2 decades of experience leading this innovation through community-based shared transportation programs across upstate New York. And we've worked on a number of NYSERDA projects, funded projects over the years, bringing these types of transportation innovations, particularly around bikes, shared bikes, to our upstate communities. This goes back to some of the first pilot programs of dockless bike share, looking at how we can bring these bike share programs to our smaller communities in a more flexible way. And now we're working on a few of the transportation prizes programs, and we're really excited to see continued investment from NYSERDA in these programs, and also growing interest across the state in these programs. Our work involves helping municipalities, transit agencies, and community-based organizations implement mobility solutions that meet community needs. If you go to the next slide, please. So I want to focus on some of our work involving planning support for bike share and bike library programs. So in a number of cases, we've worked doing vendor selection recommendations, looking at what is the current marketplace for bike share for different of these technology products, and trying to figure out what will actually work for a given program. We've also done programmatic design based on community needs and the particular community context. And a really big one is financial sustainability. Throughout all of our programs, we look at how can we bring these innovations in the transportation space and actually build sustainable programs that are around long term. For example, we started Ready Bike Share, the bike share program in Western New York, back in 2016. And at this point, it's the longest running continually operating bike share program outside of New York City in the state. And that's something we're really, it's core to our mission, is how can we make these transportation programs, through maybe NYSERDA funding for the startup, but how do we build long-term financial sustainability so that people can rely on these programs as transportation services. Also, site planning, looking at how we work with municipalities to have the buy-in to make these programs trusted and long-lasting. And lastly, developing marketing campaigns specifically tailored to bring disadvantaged communities comfortable with these types of programs. The other type of program I want to highlight that we've been doing a lot of work in are e-bike ownership programs. So this includes designing and implementation of e-bike incentive or rebate programs. There's different names for these types of programs. Development of the incentive application portals, administrative aspects, and also working with local bike shops to get them involved in these programs. And a huge component of these is e-bike safety education, particularly in our state, where e-bike safety has been a very big issue, challenge. This is something that's been core to building out these programs we've seen, particularly in bringing in the local e-bike retailers to make it successful. Lastly, marketing campaigns focused on these types of programs. If you go to the next slide. So one example, this year we launched the first e-bike incentive program in New York State. So what this was, we looked at what's happening around the country. There's e-bike rebate programs, incentive programs in Colorado, California. So we looked to bring that type of program here to New York in order to encourage e-bike ownership for low-income populations. So this is in Westchester, the Project Mover program. And we developed an e-bike safety education component with this. And at this point, there's a couple dozen people that are already receiving e-bikes through the program, which is really exciting. If you go to the next slide, please. And the other type of project example is e-bike libraries. So about 5 years ago, we launched the first e-bike library programs. These programs are basically taking bike share and seeing how we can build more unique programs that actually serve disadvantaged communities with shared fleets of e-bikes. The first one we launched was here in Buffalo with Eastside Bike Club, which has since expanded through a transportation prize program. And we're working on a few other of these programs as well. And I think I'm about out of time, so I'll stop there.
Fabulous. Thanks so much, Tyler. I'll dive in. Hi, everyone. I'm Ali Barsamian, and I'm so happy to be here representing Populous. Since 2017, Populous has provided cities with the tools to manage shared mobility programs using real-time and historical data from fleets of bikes, scooters, mopeds, and cars. We're proud to be industry leaders, the first to launch a mobility management solution that lets cities digitally manage their public right-of-way after shared scooters hit the streets back in 2017. Today, cities around the world trust Populous to plan, launch, and manage shared mobility programs with a single advanced platform. Next slide. Our Mobility Manager platform provides cities all the tools you need to efficiently run your shared mobility programs, alleviating concerns that fleets of shared bikes and scooters will create conflict or clutter in the public right-of-way. So what does that really mean? The Mobility Manager platform has a wide variety of features and functionality. This includes data validation for over 40 different shared mobility operators, some of whom you've heard from on the call today, live maps showing real-time vehicle locations, reporting on key program metrics such as parking area use, equity zone distribution, and meeting fleet caps throughout the program area. You can also access policy creation and compliance tracking for city-created policies such as slow zones, parking restrictions, and fees. You can see route and trip analysis with advanced GPS heat maps with custom geographies so that you can really deeply understand how fleets of vehicles are moving around your city. And then we also support invoicing tools to automatically calculate complex trip or vehicle-based fees from those policies you create. And then we can also manage the invoicing with those shared mobility operators to take the burden off of your internal staff and make the program as easy to run as possible. It's a complete web-based platform designed to meet today's needs and scale with tomorrow's mobility landscape. As we know, things are always rapidly evolving. Next slide. Populous's solutions are deployed in over 100 cities worldwide. That's large and small cities, including cities like Columbus, Ohio, Hoboken, New Jersey, Orlando, Florida, Chicago, Illinois, and San Antonio, Texas. I'll speak to one specific project example in Long Beach, California. The city of Long Beach in California implemented our platform to monitor and evaluate and more effectively manage their dockless bike program in the region. Long Beach uses Populous's platform to enforce and analyze the effectiveness of their parking policies and their riding rules. Many cities, including Long Beach, face challenges with crowded parking corrals or parking infrastructure. Within our smart mobility policies solution, Long Beach was able to create corral capacity tracking policies attached to an associated geospatial file, designating where these specific corrals would be around their cities. With this configured on our platform, the city can instantly track the compliance of these policies in the compliance reporting dashboard and influence rebalancing by their shared mobility operators. I hope that helps to illustrate a little bit about the instant impact of our platform on a shared mobility program. And I'm happy to now pass the presentation over to Fourth Mobility.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. My name is Avery Morris, and I'm a program manager at Fourth. I'm really glad to be here today to share a bit about our work and how we can help to support clean mobility in communities like yours. Fourth is a nonprofit organization that's been working nationwide to promote electric mobility since 2011. We're based in Portland, Oregon, which is where I am, but our team works across 6 states with projects nationwide, and we do have 2 colleagues based in New York City. Our mission is to advance clean and equitable transportation by advocating for progressive policies, launching innovative on-the-ground projects and sharing best practices, and partnering with diverse organizations, public agencies, and companies. We focus on electric cars, charging infrastructure, and emerging mobility modes like e-bikes and e-scooters. Every year, we also host the Fourth Roadmap Conference, which is the nation's leading electric transportation event, where we bring together policymakers, industry leaders, and community partners from across the country. This year, we will be gathering in Detroit, Michigan, and we would love to see you there. Next slide. At Fourth, we work with communities to plan, launch, and grow clean mobility programs. We do that by providing technical assistance, sharing best practices, and offering hands-on support for pilot programs and ongoing programs. Some ways that we partner with communities are with bike share, scooter share, and lending libraries, including safe electric mobility riding education, mode chip programming and rebate programs for bikes, electric vehicles, and chargers, and also supporting charging for businesses, multifamily housing, and in the public right of way. We also stand up a nationwide EV car share program called the Affordable Mobility Program. We have additional programming with medium and heavy duty electrification, agriculture electrification, and we have a really strong focus on education. So we host ride and drive events where we give people the opportunity to test electric vehicles and provide electric bike education. What ties our programming together is our commitment to making clean transportation accessible, affordable, and equitable for every community. Especially, we like to work, and we always work with communities who have been historically underserved. Next slide. So one example of our work that's really demonstrative of the different ways that Forth works with communities is our Green Energy and Mobility Program, which took place in Portland, Oregon, and was a 3-year initiative funded by the Portland Clean Energy Fund. This program was a partnership between Forth, Helping Hands Reentry, a transitional housing organization, and Hacienda Community Development Corporation, 2 organizations that serve Portland's community, specifically a lot of our Latinx community. We worked to bring zero carbon mobility directly to residents of 2 housing developments. So we began with a year-long planning phase where we worked side by side with residents and site management to learn about the community's needs and select the best mobility options. Next, in our implementation phase, we were able to provide EV car share support. So making a new location for our AMP car share program. We provided a shared e-bike fleet, which was managed by the community, 2 electric shuttle vans, electric vehicle charging stations, and a solar-powered cold storage unit for cooling one of the sites. This project was just a really great example of how community input, innovative technology, and strong partnerships can create a program that lasts beyond our initial funding period and can really make a difference to bring zero carbon mobility to one community. This is just a quick overview of who we are and the kind of work that we do. But for any questions, my email is on the first slide, and you can also learn more at our website, forthmobility.org. I look forward to your questions during Q&A. Thank you.
Joyride, you're on.
All right. You can see and hear me? Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Vince Fani. I'm the CEO of Joyride, and we are a nationwide leader in lightweight electric vehicle solutions, powering thousands of connected vehicles in over 450 markets all around the globe. Our mission is simple: to make mobility instantly keyless, connected, shareable, and trackable for both public and private deployments. Next slide, please. Joyride is a smart fleet management platform built for e-bikes, scooters, golf carts, and low-speed vehicles. We work with cities, private operators, hotels, campuses, and resorts to provide both short-term shared mobility and long-term rental solutions. Our platform covers the full rider journey. Tap and go, users can locate a vehicle with their phone and unlock it with your own branded app or our ready-made Revy platform. ID verification, you can instantly do identity checks before a ride starts, adding an additional layer of security. We have a safety suite as well for pre-ride safety screens, checklists, and even reaction time tests to reduce incidents. And parking verification. Riders can submit an end-of-ride photo, ensuring correct parking and equitable distribution in underserved areas. Next slide, please. Behind the scenes, Joyride connects to any vehicle or any charging station to deliver real-time actionable insights. Our key capabilities include geofencing, so controlling parking and speed zones to improve safety and traffic flow, location tracking, know exactly where vehicles are and who's using them. We have a full analytics suite to identify usage hotspots, optimizing fleet deployments, and tracking carbon reduction impacts. Access control, so you can decide who can use which vehicles and when, so if it's employees, staff, residents, or whoever. We also have automated support, so 24/7 self-serve rider support really reduces strain on city or operator resources. This means city staff or program managers can monitor performance and compliance in real time while operators run more efficient and safer fleets. Next slide, please. We're not just a tech vendor here, we're a proven partner in diverse environments, and there's a couple case studies that I'll just kind of highlight. One example is Bacni in the Netherlands, and they use Joyride to run their e-cargo bike rentals for riders, consumers, and delivery providers, or anyone who just wants to rent a cargo bike, essentially. In Niagara Falls, we have Zoom, and they lease bikes to hotels and winery tours, which boost tourism in a really sustainable way. And in Cape Cod, we've replaced an outdated rental system with our app-based platform for hundreds of vehicles, modernizing an entire local rental economy. The flexibility with Joyride means that cities, program managers can deploy Joyride technology across micromobility fleets, cargo bikes for local delivery, or even low-speed neighborhood electric shuttles or libraries. In short, Joyride offers a turnkey data-driven platform that's already powering sustainable mobility in hundreds of markets worldwide. We can help cities and program managers not only launch, but actively manage and optimize a mobility program that's safe, efficient, and community friendly. And happy to chat more in the Q&A, or if you want to take it offline as well, we can do that, or outside of this call, we can do that. That's everything for me. Thanks.
Okay, I would like to invite this group to unmute yourselves and to turn your cameras on, and I would like to invite the audience to ask some questions. We have a question from Emily Flynn for Drop Mobility, Shared Mobility, Inc., and Fourth to clarify different partner roles for a small bike rental program. Do municipalities go into contract with one or many partners?
Yeah, so I could get started answering that. So it might be good to look at the Project Mover example. We've been working closely with Drop Mobility on that one. In Project Mover, we contracted under in the New York Transportation Prizes program with a group of communities there that were interested in launching bike share. We helped them plan out the sites, work out a lot of the logistics of where the bikes are going to go, what makes the most sense, and then we through a RFP process partnered with Drop as the actual mobility operations provider, and they have direct contracts with the different municipalities to actually run the program. They do the day-to-day operations. That's just one example. I don't know if Amber would want to bounce off that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great description. And for Drop, we service the whole value chain of micromobility. So we're sort of a buffet of services, and we're able to sort of pick and choose based on whatever is lacking from the project. So we can fill in on operations. We have our own hardware we can source. We have a software platform that can be accessed similar to Joyride in a third-party manner. So we can really fill in anywhere that's missing in the project.
And I can share briefly from Fourth, which is that we follow similar models, but there's different ways that we can go about it. So for some small bike rental programs, we would bring together the whole team. So support operations, depending if you're doing internal or external operations. We've done training to support bringing on internal operations, so you wouldn't need to partner with an external operator or connect to another operator organization. Also do connections with any, Force generally does community engagement, marketing, outreach, but we sometimes can bring in other firms for that. And then also working with the device supplier. So helping to find the best bike that would serve the needs of your program.
Do we have other questions coming in from the chat? I invite anybody in the audience to ask a chat via chat of this group. If you prefer to raise your hand and speak for be unmuted for 25 seconds, that's also an option. And if that is not the case, what I'd like to do is open the floor to general questions, for just like how we drop right back in. If anybody has questions from earlier in the presentation, that's okay. Presentations, that would be welcomed too. We would love you to chat, or you can raise your hand. Okay. Well, I think we're going to have a bit of a wrap up then. I want to thank everyone who presented today and took the time to ask questions. I want to encourage members of the audience to go back and look at the directory. All of the organizations you heard from today are listed in that directory, and there are a few more. We will be sharing these slides, and we will be sharing a recording of this session. I don't know if NYSERDA has anything to add. All right, well, thank you again. Once again, we will be following up, and I encourage any of you to reach out to the email addresses that are listed in the directory on the NYSERDA CMP website, or to reach out privately to any of our presenters today. Thank you so much.